welcome to a brand new podcast with me, your host Shruti Sharma. And today, the podcast is very interesting because we're joined in by Kalyan Konda. He's the executive director and CEO of QualiZeal, a rapidly growing AI powered quality engineering company serving Fortune 1000 enterprises. Yes, with more than 25 years of experience in the global IT industry, Kalyan has led transformative growth journeys at organizations including QualiZeal, Signity, and App Labs. Under his leadership, QualiZeal has emerged as one of the fastest growing quality engineering firms in North America, a respected thought leader in AI, digital transformation, and quality engineering. Kalyan continues to shape the future of the industry through innovation, strategic vision, and client centric leadership. We're excited to have him with us today to share his insights and experience and lots more. Kalyan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Kalyan, the very first question, I have a data here that you've gone from about $11 million to about $60 million run rate today. And you're targeting about $100 million by 2028. So, what is the AI actually doing in the business to drive that kind of numbers, if I want to know from you?
Sure. Actually, we as a company, we adopted AI. I would say that at least about 2.5 years before, and when this whole AI thing came up, and we actually embraced it as opposed to resisting it. And right now, the way that we look at our business, we think that AI is going to be very strong tailwind for us to get to 100 million by 2028. I mean, I know there are some companies that are out there. They're actually they actually are perceiving AI as a headwind, but we believe that AI is actually going to help us accelerate our journey of getting to 100 million by 2028, and in that whole process, if we get to 100 million by 2028, that would mean that as a company we would have hit 100 million in about 7 years, and if we could do that, we probably will become the fastest IT services company that reached 100 million in the Indian IT history. And that's what we are going for.
Okay, so if I see the flow is actually going on the other side, if we talk about your company in particular, there are big IT firms that are actually cutting down on jobs, but you're the company that actually hired more than 1,000 employees and kept hiring. So how did it go the other way, if we wanted to know from you?
Yeah, definitely. So one is that from the very beginning, we want to build an IT services company that is fueled by IP, our own IP. So the demand for quality engineering services continues to be very robust in the North American market. And as we speak right now, so we are working with about 60 plus clients. Out of these clients, 2/3 of them are billion-dollar plus enterprises. So if you really look at it, there is a lot of headroom that we have to grow in these accounts. And our strategy always had been to land into right accounts in the right way, and so that we have many years of growth in these accounts, and that is the reason why we are able to once we land the right accounts, and then actually being a client-centric company, we are able to continuously grow in these accounts. And so I would say that one more thing is also that the kind of work that we are winning, we are actually winning some cutting edge quality engineering services work, and enterprises are constantly looking for the vendors that are more in the challenger category, not the champion category. So they're the enterprises have choices. I mean, they can actually choose many IT service providers. But however, every enterprise also has a strategy that they want to bring that one new vendor that can challenge the status quo, that can sort of give a run for money to the other established players. We are one such player.
Okay.
And that is the reason why not only we are growing in our existing accounts, and as a company that we are able to consistently win new accounts, quarter on quarter.
So, slightly one thing that I wanted to know personally also now, the AI coming into the picture, there's a lot of hopes that, people are going to lose their job. Yours being an AI company yourself. So what are your thoughts on it for not just your company, if we also, see the scenario as in overall for the all industries. So what is your take on it?
Yeah. So I would say that depends on how you look at it. So AI definitely is disrupting a lot of repetitive work, whatever that can be done, that used to be done repeatedly with low skills. That is definitely getting disrupted. However, the human innovation and ingenuity is still required to get a lot of work done. I would say that I think people with the AI skills will replace the people that are not using AI to their advantage. So AI itself is not replacing job. I think it's people with the AI skills are replacing people that are not using AI at their work.
That's interesting. Okay, so you have QMentis AI and you have Validate. These are your platforms, and NextAI is your AI service line, is what I've been told. So, what does each one does, and what are the clients that are actually using these services? If you could just tell us about the clientele and about these platforms that you have.
Sure. So, from the very beginning, we were very clear that we want to build an IT services company that is backed by solid platforms, because the platform is the true differentiator that we offer to our clients. Besides offering very highly talented quality engineering professionals.
Okay.
And the QMentis, even when we were pretty small, we did allocate a certain portion of our budget towards R&D, and that was the reason why we were able to continuously build some of these platforms, and we were able to successfully integrate them and embed them into part of our service delivery. QMentis is it's a QualiZeal's end-to-end quality engineering platform that does all the way from requirements review, test case generation, and test report generation, stress strategy work, and so thereby we are able to cut down almost 60 to 70% of the repetitive work that generally happens in the overall testing life cycle. I would say the QMentis AI is the most mature platform that we have as a company, and actually it is used in almost all of our clients. And then Validate is something that we had recently built and launched, and a lot of enterprises, there is a lot of enthusiasm when it comes to starting a pilot, and actually derive a lot of pleasure in seeing it work. But however, there is an extreme amount of nervousness when they really have to roll them into production. And the Validate exactly addresses that. Validate is a platform that actually helps enterprises to launch their AI applications into production with high amount of release confidence. And this is something that is gaining a lot of traction in the marketplace. In simple words, if I had to say, the QMentis AI is basically, it is AI for QE.
Okay.
And the Validate is basically QE for AI. And Nexa AI is other service line where we are actually able to offer development services using AI technologies to our existing clients.
So, when you talk about Cumentus AI, the testing time goes to about 60% less. You just mentioned as well.
Sure.
So, do the clients pay you less because the time taken is less now? And if you talk about, QualiZeal, how do you earn money with that, and how does it work with QualiZeal on the other hand? If you could just put some light on that.
Yes, yes. So, like we believe in creative destruction as a company. So if we don't go to clients constantly with new ideas and find ways to reduce the overall cost for testing, so one of our competitors will do.
Okay.
So it is better actually we go and disrupt ourselves before somebody does it for us.
So this is called as creative destruction, is it?
This is
Okay.
correct. And that's exactly what we're doing. And what we see is that with a lot of changes in technologies, the enterprise teams, the development teams are able to build applications really fast. While there is a lot of code that is being generated quickly compared to what used to happen in future, but then the amount of complexity and the integrations and the validation that is required for this continues to be very high. And so the way that we look at it is that it is more of a productivity lever, and if we can do that in a cost effective manner, and we can actually win more work. That is exactly what is happening. So yes, for some of the existing work, we are becoming efficient. We probably are able to do it with less number of people. That is the reason why we are winning more work from our existing clients.
Okay. So, we talk about validate basically. So, what does that do is check if the AI system is safe to use or not. But having said that, there are firms that actually have their own AI system that can check if the AI system is safe to work or not. Then why would those firms or those companies come to you for the same reason? So, and pay you. So if you could just tell us about that. So when you have an in-house thing that's actually checking everything in a company, why would a company come to you?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say that the internal checks are necessary. I think every IT organization that is building their applications and systems must do their internal checks. I would say that that is needed, but not sufficient.
Okay.
So if I have to take an analogy that actually in any finance organization there is an internal audit that gets done, then you also get an external auditor to check your financial statements.
Exactly.
And also there is others bias. And more importantly, the another analogy that I could quote is that you can't sort of ask a fox to watch the hen house. So there is the inherent internal conflict that anybody that is building it would psychologically think about how to make it work. But then the perspective that we bring in is that in what different ways that we can fail the system, and that requires a special expertise, and all that expertise that we have gained over a period of time working with multiple clients in the multiple industry verticals. We sort of codified all that experience and built this Validate platform. Now, the Validate platform helps enterprises to launch their applications into production with high amount of confidence, knowing that their applications are now checked for their accuracy, compliance, and safety and security.
So, Kalyan, this is a very interesting question that actually has come to my mind also. There are companies that actually, the enterprise also that build up AI pilots, for good, investment of time into those pilots. But those AI pilots never make it to the production. So, in your experience and your knowledge, what is the reason that actually kills that AI pilot? And those pilots that are never able to reach till the production, which are very interesting, which are very useful, but never kind of reach till the production part. What is the reason usually for it?
So I would say that AI is a common topic in every board meeting in these Fortune 1000 enterprises, and some of these enterprises are have allocated a lot of money, and I would say that till about last year, uh, it was called like more like a play money.
Okay.
It is something that tech executives can play with this money and buy some tool licenses and then actually sort of have a chip on their shoulder that we are using AI as well. And however, as some of these companies that are offering these technologies and tools um, started increasing their prices, and also enterprises are spending more now the real topic is, are we getting ROI from these initiatives? And that's when the rubber meets the road. I think that's the phase that we are in, and to be able to really put things into production, uh, not only the technology has to work, but then it has to really solve the business problem, meaning that it really has to work with the consumer in a seamless manner. That's when the enterprises are struggling. And also one thing that the enterprises are also struggling with is, yes, we can build all of this stuff, but then how do we make sure that it is actually tested thoroughly, and will it actually work in production? And that is there is a big business out there, and which we are calling it as a QE for AI systems, and that's what we are going after, right?
So there are a lot of enterprise, a lot of companies that are actually outsourcing the AI work and the projects, And when we say that outsourcing is happening, India seems to be a cheaper place for that. But AI obviously is not about being cheap. But do you think it's going to be a win-win situation for India in this case? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that uh, one thing is that India really mastered the art of getting work done remotely, and this industry now is existing for decades, and a lot of Indian talent pool also have gained immense amount of experience in how the businesses work, like how a typical insurance company works, how a financial services company works, and then how a logistics company works, supply chain management, all these industry verticals. I think it used to be the people with the tech skills and the coding skills, but now India also has deep industry vertical domain experience, and I think for AI that deep vertical domain experience is very critical. So in my opinion, that actually having that expertise of the domain is going to really help the Indian talent pool to basically to reimagine all the business processes that are happening in enterprises in the context of AI. I think if that can be cracked, I think there's a huge opportunity ahead for India.
So, India's GCC is actually closing to about, say, $100 billion a year. So, if you talk about AI being in the forefront for India and now, bringing the AI to a higher value for the country, what are your takes on it? What needs to be done, and how the landscape or a picture is going to be way forward?
I would say that traditionally GCs had been as a more of a execution centers, where a lot of thinking work happens outside of India, but then a lot of execution work used to happen in GCCs. But then I think that trend had been changing. I think GCCs really have the potential to become not just execution center, but a true innovation centers, and also real think tank kind of a work. I think if that can happen, I don't think we are very far from actually imagining, designing and building products in India that will serve the global needs.
So, Kalyan, when now AI is the thing, not just in India, globally as well. So, government globally are actually making some AI rules for each country, because this is something that is required, because something that's on digital should have rules and regulations. So, when we talk about India as a country, what is the AI policy that the government should have, or it's lacking, that needs to be actually addressed now and is need of now? Because AI is something that's not future now, it's the present. Not happening in the future, of course, but at present also, if you look at the scenario. What is it that government needs to do, and what kind of rules one needs to have, or AI policy that India is actually short of? If you take India as a country standalone, also if we compare it with the government that is actually working on AI rules globally, also, if we compare it also, both ways, what is your take on it?
Yeah, I would say that not only India, I think a lot of other countries are also trying to figure out the AI policies. I think the first one that really launched a policy is there's this EU AI Act, and that policy details about how enterprises should use AI in a responsible manner in guarding the end user interest and things like that. But I would say that India has a great opportunity to come up with a standard, and that protects the privacy, but also not very heavily compliant. And so if such a policy can be developed, I think India can lead the way for the rest of the world as well, because if you think about all other technologies, there are standards in place. In fact, when large enterprises are outsourcing their work, they expect you to be in compliant with these standards. And if India could develop such a policy and standards, I think we can lead the way for the rest of the world.
Okay. So, now if you talk about entry level tech engineers, now when their entry is there in a company, it's gone down to about 40% now, or maybe more than that. Because now what was done by the fresh engineers, the new engineers, is actually being taken care by the AI. What needs to be done in terms of training these engineers so that we have still the senior engineers working for the future of India in the AI space and in the engineering space? Because for the fresh engineers, of course, AI has taken over, but for them to be the seniors one later in the coming days, coming years, how are they supposed to be trained? What is the way forward for them?
I would say that we, from the very beginning, when it comes to really tapping young talent, QualiZeal had been a very progressive organization from that aspect. And so what we have done slightly differently compared to other companies is that we actually visit campuses and pick individuals during the third year of their BTech. And from that time onwards, we are making sure that they spend enough time with QualiZeal, and in making sure that they have the skills that are needed to be productive from day one, as and when they join the corporate. I think lot more academia corporate interaction should happen early on, so that way, like the young engineers are actually working on real-time projects with the mentorship and leadership from the corporate leaders. And the early that can happen, I think the better it is for everybody. So all the graduates that are coming out now have the skills that are needed in the real world, as opposed to finishing their degree and then joining some finishing schools and then again getting trained in the IT companies. So there is a lot of lag, and when and during that lag, we also see that a lot of engineers sort of falling through the cracks. And if there is a much more proactive academia corporate interaction happens, I think that will be good for. It's a win-win situation for both the companies as well as the young talent.
Yeah. So, Kalyan, first thing before I ask you the next question is, what exactly is the agentic AI, which every company is selling these days? Firstly, for our viewers, if want you to break down for them what exactly is agentic AI that we're going to be talking about, and secondly, how much of agentic AI is real, and how much you think is just a promise if the companies are actually selling it by the name of agentic AI? If you could just tell us.
Sure. So the think of agentic AI as something, an agent. Think of agent as a digital employee that will actually take on work and then coordinate with the other systems that are in place.
Okay.
And actually finish the work.
Sure.
Like anybody would do.
Okay.
In some of these agentic AIs standalone in a demo environment, they work very well. But then the real world is very complex and messy, and not everything that is needed is available. Not everything will function the way that it has to function. So I would say that if autonomous agentic AI, if you have to imagine like a fully self-driven car, and I would say that agentic AI still is a car that is driven by the driver, which means it needs a human in the loop to get things done. But the promise is a promise that is being offered to you is a FSD.
Okay.
And but what exactly is happening right now is still a driver assisted car.
But would you agree with it that agentic AI is for real? That's for sure.
Agentic AI is for real, and it will mature over a period of time. And for it to fully function and work autonomously and also coordinate with other agents in a seamless manner, that would require reimagining of the business processes within enterprise. Okay. Because the technology is different, so the same business processes that are working in the real world may not work in the agentic AI.
So, Kalyan, you've built about fantastic companies, one of the fastest growing companies in less than 5 years of span. So, somebody who wants to be like you, somebody, who's inspired by you and wants to do the same in the same line, what would be your words of suggestion for those people?
Yeah. Thank you. We recently completed 5 years of QualiZeal. Thank you. And we also hit our, we are now a 1,000 member company. So that's a proud moment for everybody within the QualiZeal. I would say that what is important is to really pick a problem that you are very passionate about, and if you think that you can solve it better than anybody else in the world, and you need to have a client that is willing to pay for this. So I think if you can get all these three things, I think that's a great combination. And I would say one more thing is to be able to, there are companies that are really successful, single founder companies, but then I think to be able to build at the pace that we had built and the scale to which we had grown, I think having that initial team that would bring in complementary skills, I think is also very essential. And I would say that one more thing is that execution discipline, because the ideas are plenty, and a lot of ideas would work, but then actually whether the idea would work or not, it just a lot more depends on the execution discipline. I would say that find a problem that you're passionate about and the market is willing to pay for it, and then get a team that are like-minded when it comes to what we want to achieve, but then the complementary skills and the execution discipline.
Fantastic. So, like your company is in the right direction. You've kind of tapped the market at the right time because AI is something that's, going to be on a fast track in the coming years now. That said, it was a good decision for you, of course, to actually start your companies, which are actually AI related. Having said that, there are other competitors also who are into the same field. Did that worry you at some point in time that, okay, I'm doing the job, I'm building up an AI company, but obviously there are other companies that are into the same business. Did you slack somewhere that, no, the other companies are doing better, or I don't know where I'm standing right now? These kind of thoughts, did it ever hit you? And if they did, what was your way ahead? How did you kind of convince yourself that no, I want to go ahead with this, what I'm doing, and I know, and I'm confident about it that yes, it's going to be a success.
Yeah.
Why I'm asking you this question
Sure.
is because this is a basic human tendency that somebody who's a founder and is working on something that's actually going to change the world in the coming time and in present, of course, and with a lot of competition around, this is a common thought that actually comes into the mind.
Yeah.
So I want to read your psyche in terms of the founder and the successful man that you are, so that the people who are watching you are also inspired and they learn what do they need to do when they also kind of come in the same situation. How does one act?
Yeah. I would say that yes, we. I would say that the competition is always there, and I would say that the competition is good. Competition is really is is vital to keep you sharp, and so I firmly believe in it, and also that if you look at it, since we started, we even in the last 3 years, we grew at about 35 to 40% CAGR, and that's probably about 5-6 times compared to the industry averages. One thing that we have learned is that we will not compare with the industry average, because we don't want to be an industry average.
Very
we are
nice.
a company that want to pull up the industry average than actually be an average.
Sure.
So that's definitely we want to be a company that always operates in the top quartile, not only in terms of revenue growth, but also in terms of our employee net promoter scores, and client net promoter scores, and so. And one more thing that that truly what we had built in the company is that employee centricity, and what we believe in as a company is that if we really take care of employees, then they will take care of clients. So QualiZeal is a real proof that employee-centric companies will become client-centric companies, and also that I'm proud to say that QualiZeal is also an employee-owned company. So everybody that has a piece of the company within QualiZeal, everybody works at QualiZeal. So I think that also drives a lot of ownership within the company. Yes, we look at competition, we read what is happening, and whenever somebody is announcing a very large deal, and the immediate thing that comes to my mind is that why are we not winning these multi-year, multi-million-dollar deals? And it inspires, but it doesn't scare us. It provides the motivation to do better.
Fantastic. Okay, last question, not the least, but if we talk about AI, considering India as a country, where is it heading to now? What is the way forward? What is the path ahead? What are your thoughts on it now?
My opinion is that India has great talent, and also there is just the sheer amount of talent pool that India has. No other country is a match. I think yes, India is number one. In my mind, I can't think of who is number two.
Wow.
So just in terms of the scale of the talent pool that we have. And also that India sort of mastered the art of implementation of any new technology work that comes in. The technology may get invented anywhere in the world, but when it actually comes to bringing that, implementing the technology into enterprises and making it available to the end users has always been the strength of India. So I would say that AI is going to be just another wave, I think, which will push our IT industry forward. And any new technology that comes in, initially there would be a dip, but then right after that dip, there's going to be a major takeoff. A lot of anxiousness and it's worrisome right now because the whole hiring had slowed down and all that. But not only it happened with this technological change, it happened in the past as well. But then India always figured out a way to ride it after a small lull. I think we probably are going through that small lull period right now, but I think India will ride the wave. I don't think AI will sink India. We will only rise.
Sure, I second your thoughts, Kalyan. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic and very interesting podcast, and very, very happy to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shruti.
And with that, we come to the end of this insightful conversation with Kalyan Konda, Executive Director and CEO of QualiZeal. Thank you, Kalyan, for sharing your experiences and perspectives on leadership, innovation, and the future of quality engineering in the age of AI. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did. Stay tuned for more conversations with industry leaders shaping the future of technology and business. This is your host, Shruti, signing off.